You know that feeling, right? You pop on a pair of noise-canceling headphones, and suddenly, the world just fades away. It feels like straight-up magic. But it's not. It's this incredible blend of physics and super-fast engineering. So let's get into the big question at the heart of it all.
And here it is, the big puzzle. Think about it. For your headphones to cancel a noise, they have to hear that noise, figure out what it is, and then create the exact opposite of it, all before the original sound even gets to your eardrum. I mean, how on earth is that even possible?
Because, let's be clear, sound is fast. We're talking 343 meters per second. So the time it takes for a sound wave to travel from the outside of your headphone to the inside, well, it's an impossibly small amount of time.
But here's the secret sauce. I saw a comment on Reddit that just nailed it. Sound is fast, but computers are faster. And that's exactly it. That little chip inside your headphones, it's working at the speed of electricity. It completely blows the speed of sound out of the water. So just how fast are we talking here?
Get ready for this number. 15 microseconds. That's 15 millionths of a second. That is the entire window of time that tiny processor has to do everything. Measure the noise, calculate its perfect opposite, and then play it back to create silence. It's absolutely mind-boggling.
Okay, so wait a minute. How does making more sound end up creating silence? It seems totally counterintuitive, right? Well, it all boils down to a really cool principle in physics.
It's a concept called destructive interference. So picture a sound wave, like a wave in the water with peaks and troughs, right? What your headphones do is create the perfect mirror image, upside-down version of that wave. So for every peak in the outside noise, your headphones make a trough. When those two waves meet, poof, they cancel each other out completely. They flatten into a straight line. That's zero pressure, and our brain hears that as, you guessed it, silence.
And this whole magic trick happens in 4 incredibly fast steps. First up, step 1. A microphone on the outside of the headphone captures all that ambient noise around you. Then, step 2. The brain of the whole thing, a little chip called a digital signal processor, immediately inverts that sound wave. Step 3 is where the internal speaker plays this new anti-noise wave to cancel out the original sound. And finally, step 4. There's another mic on the inside that's constantly checking the work. It verifies the result and makes tiny little tweaks on the fly to keep that silence perfect. But you know, this incredible tech is for more than just enjoying your podcast or music in peace. It turns out it's also an amazing tool for protecting one of your most important senses, your hearing. And this chart from an NIH study just shows it so clearly. Just look at this. On the left, you've got folks on a noisy subway with regular old earbuds. To even hear their music, they have to crank the volume up past 85 decibels, which is literally in the hearing damage zone. But now look at the bar right next to it. With noise-canceling headphones on, they could listen comfortably at a much, much safer level, under 75 decibels.
So here's the takeaway, and it's a big one. Because you're getting rid of all that background noise, you just don't feel the need to blast your music. That makes this technology a really key tool for preventing what's called recreational noise-induced hearing loss. And let's face it, our world is getting louder all the time.
So, it all sounds great, right? A total win-win. But could a world of perfect, on-demand silence have a catch? As this tech gets more and more popular, some experts are starting to wonder, what happens to our brains when we're constantly blocking out the real, messy, complex world of sound?
And that question, well, it brings us to a really interesting emerging debate in the world of audiology. And it kind of boils down to that old saying we all know, use it or lose it. Yeah, this quote from an audiologist named Renee Almeida really sums up the concern. She says, with noise canceling, you're giving your brain only one source of sound. For adults, it could make their brains lazy, just as muscles weaken without exercise. I mean, it makes you think, right? Your brain is always working, filtering out the coffee shop chatter to focus on one conversation. So what happens if we take all that work away for hours and hours every day?
Okay, now we have to be really clear about something here. This is a developing debate. On the one hand, you have this concern from some experts, this theory that maybe, just maybe, constant use could make it harder for our brains to process complex sounds. But, and this is super important, on the other hand, there is currently zero scientific evidence to prove this. No robust data, no studies linking noise cancellation to any kind of auditory processing disorder. For now, it's a hypothesis. It's a really interesting question that needs to be studied, but it is not a proven fact.
So, while that conversation is happening in the background, the technology itself just keeps getting better and better, and its history is actually pretty fascinating. It didn't start in a recording studio or anything like that. It started way, way up in the sky.
Believe it or not, the core idea goes all the way back to the 1950s. The goal was to protect pilots' hearing in super loud airplane cockpits. But the company that really ran with it was Bose. They developed a prototype for a historic, non-stop, round-the-world flight back in '86, and then released the first commercial version for pilots. But it wasn't until the year 2000, with the Quiet Comfort line, that it really landed in the hands of everyday consumers like you and me.
But for as amazing as this tech is, it still has its limits. It's fantastic at canceling out those constant droning noises, like a plane engine or the hum of an air conditioner. The real next challenge is dealing with sudden, unpredictable sounds, a dog barking, a baby crying, or someone starting a conversation next to you. Those are way harder to predict and cancel out in that tiny 15 microsecond window.
And of course, the solution is already in the works. It's called adaptive audio, and this is a whole different ballgame. It's not just about an on-off switch for silence anymore. It's about being smart. It uses machine learning to intelligently filter your world. So the idea is it could quiet down that annoying construction noise across the street, but still let you hear a car horn or a siren. It's trying to do what your brain does naturally.
Which brings us to a really cool final thought to chew on. As this technology gets smarter and more personal, we're moving beyond just a simple on-off switch for noise. We're heading towards a world where we can actually curate our own reality of sound. So the big question for the future isn't just how do we block everything out, it's what sounds will you choose to let in?